Well, if you're here, welcome back. I appreciate everyone that's tuning in today. I have a special guest who is very humble and may not like me to say everything that they do. I saw the liquor store. I saw the real estate, the business investments, the book that's coming. I'm going to say a all-around business mogul and entrepreneur. That's what I'm going to introduce Mr. Tim Delaney as. But he may have other prefaces or titles but I am going to go ahead and let you know that he is totally on the pulse of everything, and I am blessed to have his time right now. So Tim, welcome to the podcast, the Holistic Life Coach podcast. I want to know a little bit more about you, or tell the people about you, other than the things that I just said, because that's just a brief overview.
Thanks, Leland. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Hello to the audience. Happy to be here. It's a pretty good summary of what I do, what I'm about. My overall background is I bounced around the world a little bit after college. I was a Peace Corps volunteer in South America in a country called Guyana, which is also where I met my wife. The two of us moved to Ethiopia, where I worked for a governmental program for a few years, kind of industrializing the country of Ethiopia. We missed family, so we decided to move back to my hometown of Buffalo, New York. I kind of always knew that I wanted to be my own boss, be in business for myself. And so that's where I kind of started looking around to figure out what I could do. Bought a liquor store 13 years ago, which kind of shocked a lot of people that knew me, going from, international development to a little local small community business. But it's, kind of at the core, that's what I'm about, hometown community, and wine and liquor stores kind of serves the people right in the neighborhood, keeps the money local and all that fun stuff. From there, I have kind of branched into real estate, branched into some other businesses, passively into some other businesses. And now I'm really focused on getting the message out about buying a small business as an opportunity to change your life trajectory. So it's, something that is out there available. There's millions of baby boomers that own small businesses that are looking to retire, or don't even know that they're ready to retire, or trying to figure out what to do. And there are lots of those businesses out there for, available for reasonable prices for people like, to follow my path in that regard.
That's it. That is amazing. So I neglected to say global. Philanthropist, is that another good term to use? I neglected to say all that. So that's an amazing story. You met your wife, you said
Guyana. So, former British colony in South America, the only English-speaking country in South America, next to Venezuela, above Brazil. So, small little country. Not many people know of it. I always refer to it. There's 3 Guyana countries. So, Guyana, Suriname, and French Guyana, which were British, Dutch, French. And those are the 3 little countries on the top of South America that everybody fails in their geography test.
I obviously am not well versed in travel. Got my first plane trip in 15 years. That happened back in October. So I'm not
Nice.
versed in travel. Things have changed since I've been anywhere around any kind of transportation, and I find that amazing. I have a bucket list of a couple things that I want to do and I want to go to, but clearly this is like we're out of this world for me. It's phenomenal to hear this kind of stuff. So. You mentioned the liquor store. Because of that, I have one. I don't partake often, but I do have one particular drink. Is there a particular drink that you have that's your favorite, or something that you just, whenever you see it, that you should go to?
I get asked this question all the time, and I unfortunately don't have a good answer. It's whatever the mood strikes me. A bourbon is kind of my default, but lately it's tequila. I also enjoy a good glass of red wine or sparkling wine, depending on what I'm eating or doing, or how hot or cold it is outside. But I would say lately I'm leaning more towards tequila. Good tequila.
Okay. For me, it's the Screwball peanut butter whiskey. I don't know.
That is popular.
I don't know what it is, but that's the one that I will never like refuse. If I see it, I'll just go, oh, like, give me that. That's the way to go.
I can't blame you for that. Try mixing it with a chocolate liqueur, and you've got yourself a Reese's peanut butter cup in a glass.
Hold on, notes. That's okay. So what do you have on the horizon? What do you have going on the horizon right now? You have some real estate, you have some business investments. What are you eyeballing? Because you don't seem like the kind of person that would just settle at, yeah, I'm right here, I'm fine. What's next? What's next on that agenda and that big brain of yours that's cooking up something? What do you have?
Yeah, so right now I'm, like I said, really focused on trying to get the word out about the financial incentives to buy a small business. I know a lot of people out there that are mid-career or even early career, anywhere in their career, really. As I think we all know, the idea of work and corporate jobs is changing and changing quite rapidly. Nobody works for the same company for their entire career anymore. They're bouncing around, they're moving around. And, unfortunately, I know two people very recently in their mid 50s who both got let go of jobs that they worked for 20 plus years. And they're struggling to find jobs. These are people that were loyal to their company, did a great job, but for no fault of their own, just because those companies don't see the need for them, let them go. And there's also people on the other end of the spectrum that just, they know they want to get out already, and they are looking for opportunities. And a lot of people say side hustles. Go start a side hustle in your 5 to 9. Work your 9 to 5 and then go do a side hustle from 5 to 9. If you've got a family and kids, that's a struggle. And so what I did 13 years ago was buy a small wine and liquor store. The purchase price on something like that, what I paid was $300,000. That's less than the price of a median home in the United States. And I didn't have all the cash. I came up with about 10% of that cash. The rest of it was lent to me by the banks and by the sellers. And on my podcast, Business Buying for Financial Independence, I've interviewed multiple people that have bought a business with $0. One guy just, he bought a $5 million construction company for no money out of his pocket, just completely financed by the banks and by the sellers. So that's kind of what I'm really about right now, is just kind of getting that message out, because the alternative is that some of these businesses just close their doors too. So it's a twofold benefit. You're benefiting yourself by going out there and buying one of these businesses, because you're going to get financial independence a lot faster than you would through a side hustle or through real estate or stock investing. But you're also saving jobs in your community. I know of other businesses that just decide to close their doors. 50, 60-year-old businesses that didn't know what to do. The kids didn't want it. And so they just locked the door one day and walked away. And those are employees that lost their jobs. Those are people in the community that lost a place to go. So it just, and that money circulating in your local community just disappears. So that's what I'm really, that's kind of what I'm spending a lot of my time and energy on this past 6 months or so since I launched my podcast. And now I'm working on building out a little mastermind to help people that are seriously interested in buying a business. Because I know it sounds super scary, especially if you don't have people in your life that are entrepreneurial or have been in business before. So that's kind of my mission right now.
It's absolutely terrifying. You made a great point. It's absolutely terrifying for someone that's gotten accustomed to doing a certain thing or in a rhythm for, 10, 15 years or something along those lines. And then now they're gifted with this opportunity, this idea to run a business, maybe completely different than what they're accustomed to, or financially in a different stepping stone. And they're in this whole nother, Star Trek type of, uncharted voyage type of thing that they have to not only change to become this person that needs to operate it, but they may not even know what they're changing into, especially with the advancement and the rise of technology, the changes, how we do business, how we change things, financially, how we change things. I mean, if you look in the last 5 or 6 years, the introduction between, Tap Pay, Apple Pay, and QR codes just immediately change how we just interact with each other on a daily basis. So I can imagine someone buying a business or purchasing a business or something they've never run before, or maybe they're not forklift certified, and all this stuff kind of comes in, and they're just, now they own it.
Yep.
So is there some kind of training or things that you know, will help them along the lines, or help them guide or make it easier of an impact? Is there something that you do for that?
Yeah, and that's what this mastermind is going to do. It's not a straight up coaching or course the program, because every person and every business acquisition is a little bit different. I don't believe that there's a cut and dry step-by-step process to buy a business. There's some rough guidelines of, all right, first you got to go start looking for one, and here's some websites to go look for a site, or here's who you should be networking with, the business brokers, the accountants, the lawyers. But you know, when it comes down to it, every situation is going to be unique, and so that's why I like the mastermind approach, where it's going to be a bi-monthly call, where we get on, everybody shares what they're working on, and everybody helps each other, because no one person knows everything. And as much as I know, there are other people that might have some insights into other things. So just by sharing those ideas, so like I got a guy who's looking at buying a charter boat company in Florida. So I don't know anything about charter boats necessarily. I know that boats are expensive to maintain, but I do know some of the ins and outs and some of the things that he should be looking for in the contract, and how much time he should be asking the current owner to stay on and help, if any at all. But there might be somebody else on the call that has had some experience in a certain geographic area with a lot of boats. Might be able to connect him with somebody else that has done charter boats. That's not going to be a direct competition. So that's why I like the mastermind approach, where everybody bounces ideas off of each other. And then I'll have some experts on occasion that, if we need them, financing people, lawyers, accountants, and that type of thing as well.
In your expert opinion, what right now do you see that's coming on the horizon that's going to be that financially stable change or success, or the booming industry, or something to dive into? What do you see that's coming?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of a cop out, because everybody's talking about it, is the home services industries. So, you know, HVAC, plumbing, electrical, windows and doors and roofs. However, I take a little bit of a contrarian opinion to those businesses, in that unless you have direct experience in those businesses, I don't think they're a great business to go out and buy for yourself. If you have an electricity background, or you did a lot of plumbing through college and you understand it in and out, sure, go ahead, go after that industry. But I personally, I just think anything that you look around and look at where you're spending your money on personally. Take a look at your credit card statements. Take a look at where you're spending money, and go and talk to those business owners. Obviously, I'm not referring to Target and Home Depot, but any local businesses that you're spending the most money on, go talk to those owners. Ask them how business is. Ask them, tell them you're interested in maybe owning your own business one day. Ask them if they have any connections to other industries. Think about what you like to do, what your kids like to do, and what you find yourself spending time and money on. That's really those are the industries that are going to be right for you, and probably going to be right for the long term. Unless you like something very, very weird that is nobody else likes, then maybe don't do that. But if there's a business out there that's doing it, then chances are there's other people that like it. So it might be a good one. The other industries are, AI adjacent type stuff. As the old kind of saying goes with, during the gold rush, it wasn't the gold miners that made all the money. It was the guys selling the pickaxes and the jeans and the work clothes that actually made all the money. So if you can find things that are adjacent to those industries, maybe back to my story, when I was looking to buy a business, this was 2011, 12. I was specifically looking for businesses that didn't have websites yet, that had the potential to sell online, that they weren't capitalizing on yet. that didn't have any social media presence, because back then it was basically just Facebook and Twitter at that point. So I was looking for all those things so that I could take an existing profitable business and then grow it a little bit more. And in fact, I was avoiding wine and liquor stores at first because I knew that that would be a very challenging industry to sell online. And it still is. But there were other avenues of opportunity for that location that I saw and was able to capitalize on. So it's really, you can look at a specific industry, but if you don't have knowledge in that industry, it's not going to do you much good. So focus on what you like to do, what you see trending in your area.
That's wonderful advice. I'm personally, again, me speaking personally, I'm a nerd. I've always been a nerd, and it's a little odd for me because the things I grew up doing, the things that I love to do, aren't necessarily on the cultural status quo. But I used to go to comic book shops all the time. They're kind of scattered out now. Far-fetched, far in between. Arcades used to be my thing. I used to love hanging out in the arcades. Not so much anymore. They're not really the same. The setup, or even go-karting or doing those things. Some of those things just aren't as, powerful or impactful. Bike riding. You don't really see people, as much on bikes as what you used to, or, now they have the e-bikes and things. So there's different, advances and different changes. What would be your advice to someone like that? Somebody like me that's in that kind of framework or that personality and that style. What would be your advice to someone like that?
So I think you got to find the opportunity within that. So there are, you mentioned, I can think of a place right near one of my properties. It's a Dungeons and Dragons, Magic, The Gathering, all that, those games. That's what the store is. I don't see a ton of cars there. I don't know how well they do, but somebody's making a go at it. I also know of a sports collectible shop that has been around since I was a little kid and has grown immensely through the downturn. I know sports cards are coming back or have come back again over the last few years, but I feel like there was a couple decades there where they were not really doing much, but this company took off during those down years. So it's finding the opportunity within that industry. And it's not maybe always readily apparent. Again, for me with this wine and liquor store, what I saw, I mentioned I wanted to take something online. Now, this store did not have a website. It did not have social media. So that was immediate, for SEO purposes. And then I did add an e-commerce site, even though it's not massively popular, it's hard and expensive to ship product, but also added tons of social media. And I really drove local engagement and brought in a whole new customer base that the previous owners were not tapping into. And that was a customer base in the town that this store was in. It's on the outskirts of Buffalo. It's a little bit further out, but it was all farming land. And then there's a massive factory, and that factory makes parts for missiles and rockets and all kinds of stuff. At one point, that factory was all very heavy blue-collar people, and because of the nature of the farmland around there, it's a lot of farmers, a lot of agricultural area. So it was not heavily populated, and then the incoming workforce was very blue-collar. And so the previous owners of the liquor store sold a lot of very cheap vodka, very cheap whiskey, and next to no wine. What I saw was doctors and lawyers building $1 million houses in the area, the workforce of this factory changing from old industrial factory to engineers and people that are higher skilled running CNC machines and computers, and that workforce has more disposable income. They like higher end bourbons and tequilas and wine. And so I was able to kind of transition the product mix and bring in a new customer base with that social media and good customer service to be able to scale the store and grow the revenue and grow the profitability and hire more people. So, bringing up bicycles or something of that nature, it might not be just a bike shop where you're selling the bikes, but it might be adding service. So maybe you find that old bicycle shop that the guy or girl's been around for a long time. Their sales might not be crushing it, but they're making enough money to live off of. But then you go in and add a service element, so repairing the bikes, fixing up the bikes, buying old bikes and rehabbing them for people and reselling them, or adding e-bikes to the product mix, or adding in like a tour type service to it as well. Guided tours for people that are coming into the community. If there's something interesting, some interesting paths or trails, depending on what type of biking you're talking about. There's a woman I know in, I believe it's Idaho, one of the states out west, who opened a fly fishing shop. And she was saying recently that the retail side of that fly fishing shop isn't doing amazing, but she pivoted to add in fly fishing tours. So now she's taking people on trips, like finding those hidden spots in the rivers, and that's where she's making making her money now. So you could still find something in your industry, and this is where I like the idea of buying rather than building from scratch. So you go find that guy that's got the magic D&D shop or the bicycle shop, and they're eking out a living. They're not crushing it, but they're not struggling. And you buy that, and then you add on to it. Figure out things that can be other services, other products, other ways to bring in a bigger or different crowd that can make you even more profit.
Sounds amazing. Thank you for that. I have one final question that I ask of all my guests. And I'm sure you probably know what's coming, but what keeps you motivated? The ideas and everything that you're telling me and all, it seems like there's passion driven behind it, but what's that drive? What keeps you motivated and keeps you going?
Yeah, two things. One is my family. So I have three daughters and a wife. Everything I do is kind of centered around what is good for us as a family. But the bigger picture is, like I mentioned, I worked in Ethiopia on an industrial project. So we were taking the economy of Ethiopia from raw goods exported and agriculture to value-added products. We're building jobs, building businesses that were employing more people, which overall boosted the economy of the entire country. I see business and economics as a way of bringing people out of poverty, bringing people around the world to an equal level. And that's kind of what I want for everybody, whether it's the inner cities in the United States or Canada or wherever, to developing countries around the world. I want to see people more engaged with business, that are employing more people and bringing everybody to a better place.
That's very commendable of you, and if there's any way that I can help you, I'm more than happy to do that. I want to give you a little bit of time right now, in the closing out, to mention that podcast again, to mention where people can find you, to mention like if anything that you have. I want to give you the floor to do that before we say our goodbyes and time out. So go right ahead.
Thanks. I appreciate it. Before I do that, I'll just remind everybody to subscribe to your podcast and YouTube channel, because it's been awesome to watch your stuff lately. But then to find me, my podcast is called Business Buying for Financial Independence. It's on all the major podcast players. My company name that I do this under is called Power of Biz, B-I-Z, which is where you can find me on, powerofbiz.com. The YouTube handle is Power of Biz. And then I've been most active on Threads lately, which is where Leland and I met. It's been an awesome platform, in my opinion, and my handle there is Tim T. Delaney. So Power of Biz or Tim T. Delaney, and you can find me pretty much anywhere.
I greatly appreciate that and empathize with you as a girl dad
Yep. Yep.
I empathize with you completely. I understand what you mean. The therapy's on Thursday, by the way.
Perfect. Sign me up.
But no, I really appreciate it. Tim, it seems like you're doing amazing things, and I want to wish plenty and bountiful, like prosperity and things coming your way, even more so than you already have, because I see your heart and I see where you're going with it. And I want to make sure that anybody that needs that, or needs that advice, or needs that financial stability, that education, to reach out to you. I should have everything ready for you. And again, if you need me, I'm going to follow you immediately. I'm going to do that, so we can exchange in the background of all this information. Thank you very much, and it's been my pleasure.
Thank you, Leland. Appreciate it.
Every day is a blessing. The time we spent together. All we can do is promote change. 24 hours better.